Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why Jerry Jones just fired another shot in his battle with Roger Goodell.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why I actually missed the old Russell Westbrook. Speak for yourself starts now. We got breaking news.
Yeah, we do. I'm wearing my Cowboys blue on the right day. All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself. We're joined today by Super Bowl champ Eric Davis and former NFL head coach Eric Mangini. Let's start in the NFL, where according to the New York Times, Jerry Jones has hired a power lawyer, David Boies, and is threatening to sue other owners to block Roger Goodell's impending contract extension. Jerry's recent turn on Goodell has been swift and public and has stemmed from conflicts over Ezekiel Elliott's suspension and the league's reaction to the national anthem controversy. Cowherd, what's your reaction to the report?
Well, post Jerry, 70 years old, an aggressive owner has become hyper-aggressive. He's taken far more personnel risks with players like Greg Hardy. And because of that, the league has suspended more Cowboy players than any other over the last 4 years. So Jerry's taking more risks. He is calling out in the Zeke case. He took a strong, defiant stand against an allegation of abuse. I'm seeing an aggressive owner that's getting increasingly more aggressive. He sees his time running out for championship opportunities. And I think between the suspensions, between the anthem, he really strongly believes the league needs new ownership and that Goodell is getting in the way of one of his last opportunities for a championship.
I'll push back. I think Jerry is Jerry. I think if you go back into the 1990s, he and the league sued each other in the 1990s about his business practices. I think it was about Coca-Cola and Pepsi and things like that. Jerry wanted to do some things that the league wasn't in agreement with. They sued each other, eventually reached a settlement. As it comes to risky players, you know, Nate Newton ended up doing time after his career was over. Michael Irvin obviously had his problems during the Cowboys' glory days. Jerry Jones has always stood behind his players, come hell or high water. I think Jerry is right on brand. Jerry has a vision for this league that contradicts or isn't in agreement with the vision of Roger Goodell and the current leadership. I think Jerry is saying that the compensation committee, this small group of 6, is afraid of change. Jerry's never been afraid of change. Jerry's never been afraid of imposing his will and vision on the rest of the league. I think Jerry's just being Jerry.
Yeah, I don't see this as being an aberration in terms of him taking more risk, because he has taken a lot of risk on players over time. And really, he's tried to block this to some degree for a while, or at least it's been rumored that he's been trying to block this for a while. I do think Jerry's a businessman in the sense that it was okay when Roger was acting as commissioner and things were going well, and it didn't directly affect his opportunity to win a Super Bowl. But now, with the chance that Ezekiel Elliott could be out and the windows for winning a Super Bowl get smaller and smaller in Dallas, to me, that's why it changes to possibly lawyering up at this point to try to make sure Ezekiel's there throughout the course of the season.
It became personal when Goodell came at his players. As you just said, he goes after, he will take care of his players. That's been the MO of Jerry Jones. But right now, it's a changing of the guard. I think this is more so now that I'm looking at what's going on. This is not just about his players. This is all encompassing. This is the whole anthem issue. This is everything. Jerry is in position now where he's basically saying, even with the suing of the other owners, he's basically saying it's a new sheriff in town. I am the voice that's running this direction. It's me and a couple other the old regime that ran the league is no longer in charge. I am a part of the regime that's in charge. You guys better come along, and this guy is not doing what we want him to do. So now it's time to get him out. And I think it would have been difficult before because you got to get those 24 guys to vote Roger out. I think that's what he's doing right now. He's trying to point out these guys, just like before he put a Nike swoosh on the stadium when they said he couldn't. And he was like, I'm going to do this my way. He's telling the rest of the owners, we're going to start doing this my way, and the first thing is to get rid of this guy.
Well, you pointed out something probably a year ago on this show. You said football's under attack.
Yes.
And Jerry looks around and he says, well, if football's under attack, I own the #1 brand. I have the most to lose. like the Lakers or the Yankees. And Jerry is saying, you know, he put Tony Romo on CBS. He's got Michael Irvin on the NFL Network. He's got Troy Aikman. Jerry has played very smart chess through the years. So now even local Dallas TV ratings are down. And I think Jerry opens that Dallas Morning News and he's like, not only is the league under attack, this anthem thing, my fans who live for us are under attack. I think the walls are closing in on Jerry. And I think my question is the anthem or Zeke bigger? It may be the anthem.
I think look, Jerry Jones played college football at Arkansas. There's not a lot of NFL owners who played college football. Jerry Jones is a real football person. And I say that I don't know if sometimes if we lose sight, because I just don't think this is personal. I think.
Oh, this is very personal. If he takes Zeke away, he loses a Super Bowl.
I don't even think that's even personal. I think that's business. If you take Zeke away, that dramatically affects his ability to compete for the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
no
I think his love of football is driving him.
Yeah, but Jerry's selfish.
He is, but look, I'm selfish, but I love football, and the destruction of football and the lack of an aggressive defense of football is driving me crazy. And I think it could be driving Jerry as football moves further and further away from the brand that made it successful, that's made everybody rich, has made it a $14 billion industry that has 68% African-American players. As I see it move further and further away from that brand, I start getting in a panic. Like, what are we doing here? And the people that want to replace that brand, do they really know what they're doing? And just selfishly, will it still be 68% of us in this league when these guys that are so well-intentioned, when they're done manipulating this league? I think Jerry is right here on the money in terms of someone needs to draw a line in the sand, defend football, this whole narrative that football is racist and everybody involved with it, from ownership to coaches.
So do you think the winning the games or that's bigger? What do you think is bigger?
Well, I hear your argument, but I didn't see Jerry Jones threaten to lawyer up when they suspended Tom Brady. When Robert Kraft said essentially the same thing.
Ratings hadn't dropped then,
but
that's what I'm saying. So what is bigger?
I think this is about the player. I don't think this is about the defense of football at all. I think this is purely about.
I just don't think he's that small. The man's in the Hall of Fame, and people have given him credit for, hey, he wants to win Vegas and all this other stuff.
He wants to win a championship. Eddie DeBartolo was one of the best owners ever. But you know what he used to say all the time? This organization has had 5 good seasons. The 5 that he won the Super Bowls. That's what he cares about. Jerry wants to win a championship. I'm with you on this one. I think he is encompassing the anthem to help him with the other owners. But this is about him winning a Super Bowl this year.
Let me ask you, and then to your point, because that's, I think, what you feel it's about winning the games. This lawyering up thing didn't happen 2 weeks ago. In the last 3 or 4 days, I've read a story about where Zeke was considering, and his people, negotiating down the suspension. Is it possible in the last 3 or 4 days the NFL said, we don't have any interest in that, and Jerry said, okay, now I'm going after you? That would lead to the argument that it's not the anthem, it is this player situation.
Jerry has been fighting. Roger Goodell's contract extension was supposed to have been done last summer.
Right.
He's been fighting it since last summer.
He has.
And so, again, everybody has a right to, and I think your position is defensible, that it's personal, it's about Zeke, and it's about this season. I just happen to believe
it's bigger than that.
That it's much bigger than that. And if anybody would just open their eyes and just look, and we're going to get into this conversation later in the show. You have prominent media people talking about the death of football and football's future is no good. The whole narrative on football is very negative.
It is.
And if I were an owner who cared anything about football and who was going to be leaving the #1 franchise to my sons, I would be like, well, hold on, do we have the right leadership to handle this war that we're in right now? And I don't blame Jerry for saying, hey, we need to talk about this.
Listen, it should be noted, Cuban fought with David Stern, Pete Rozelle and Al Davis. This is not new territory. You generally have a maverick owner or two. I mean, it's almost always, as a general rule in my lifetime, it was Bowie Kuhn for the Oakland A's. You would have to search. It would be an outlier if you didn't have a Maverick owner that was at odds with the commissioner. This is the way the world works.
For years, it was Al Davis.
Of course.
Al Davis was in that role, and to some degree, Jerry's.
I think Jerry's the new.
There's some unprecedented things happening in the National Football League. When Roger Goodell, and again, wrote a letter with Doug Baldwin about a political criminal justice reform and attached his name in the NFL to that, so, something that polarizing and that political. And then Bob McNair says, man, we got people doing things that haven't been discussed with us. Just follow the dots. A league taking a position on criminal justice reform from the commissioner's office, and then an owner saying, man, we got guys doing things that they haven't run by us. If I'm a billionaire owner of the NFL and I don't have any control over my commissioner and the people that he's working with, and we got this national anthem controversy going on, and we got our ratings down for the second year in a row, who wouldn't say, hey guys, can we have a meeting here? Do we have the right leadership?
Hey guys, it's Jason McIntyre. Are you ready to save money and play more games? Then let me introduce you to our sponsor, Gamefly. Gamefly is the best way to buy and rent all your favorite games. At Gamefly.com, pick your favorite games and have them mailed directly to your door. Gamefly is the leading video game rental service with over 9,000 titles to choose from. With Gamefly, you can try your favorite games and movies before you buy. Plus, you keep the games as long as you want. You'll never have to worry about late fees, and you can cancel at any time. They now offer movie rentals on Gamefly too. Go to Gamefly.com/speakforyourself and start your free premium 30-day trial today. That's Gamefly.com/speakforyourself. The premium trial allows you to check out 2 games and/or movies at a time. You can only get this offer by visiting Gamefly.com/speakforyourself. Now go sign up and start playing all your favorite games absolutely free for 30 days.
Welcome back. Joined now by Christine Leahy, co-host of The Herd, and the founder of The Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to a strange story out of China, where Lonzo Ball's younger brother, LiAngelo, arrested yesterday for shoplifting, along with 2 of his teammates on UCLA's basketball team. The players were released on bail, but it's still unclear how the situation is going to play out, a fact which doesn't seem to bother the dad, LeVar Ball.
LeVar, do you have any update on LiAngelo?
No, man, I ain't got nothing yet. I'm going to wait till I get some more intel what's going on, then I'll let y'all know what's up.
Do you have any concern, or do you think everything's going to be okay?
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Everybody making it a big deal. It ain't that big of a deal.
All right, Whitlock, you okay with LeVar saying it's no big deal?
Listen, it's a walking interview, and he's talking off the top of his head. So I just want to add that context. But it's stupid what he just said, and he should say nothing at all. He's in a foreign country. He's in China. It's a totalitarian government that has some of the strictest laws on the planet. And so it's best to say nothing and let people with expertise in Chinese law do all the talking for you. The kid's in a very difficult spot. It makes no sense. He drives a Ferrari. Why are you stealing anything? I feel bad for Steve Alford, the UCLA program. This is embarrassing for them. I wouldn't be surprised if these 3 kids are expelled from school. The president of the school, the athletic director, they're all on this trip. They're all highly embarrassed. LeVar, at some point, needs to put a sock in his mouth and say nothing, and this is that point.
Yeah, he had a rare opportunity to be humble and whiffed. My general rule when traveling into communist countries, don't taunt the government. It's always been my rule. But this was a rare opportunity to not act, to not be a cartoon character. If you really deeply care about your kids, you would be like, all I want to say is we have utmost respect for the governing body. This is an incredibly serious situation. Now, I'm not blaming TMZ or the camera, but this isn't about LeVar.
That was a reporter who he knew, by the way.
Yeah, this is about your son and a totalitarian government. and they don't play fair. They don't play by our rules. So, I mean, this again is take a deep breath, stop being a pro wrestler, be a dad, be concerned, humanize this moment, and I think he whiffed.
It's being reported that he actually wanted to do a Periscope press conference to address the fact that his son had been arrested, which is literally the worst thing that you could do for your son. It completely disrupts the legal process. You don't want to say anything that could or couldn't get him in trouble or to upset the Chinese government. So exactly like you said, it's not being a good parent. Like at some point, think about what's best for your kid. And doing a Periscope press conference isn't that. He was only stopped from doing it by a legal team that said, hey, just please be quiet. And it is a big deal. Yes, it was in passing, but when Steve Alford has to spend, this trip that was supposed to be team building in China, and he's spending hours in the jail trying to deal with his teammates, and now 3 of them have to stay in a hotel now until the legal proceedings have played out.
Up to 20, 30 days.
That's a big deal.
It gives Alford almost, I could argue, this is my escape clause from the Ball family.
I think that's probably the next layer. And I don't know if it's just Steve Alford, but I would guess the UCLA administration. This is an international black eye for the university. When you turn on the Today Show and Matt Lauer's talking about the UCLA basketball program having players arrested, that's a bad look. I mean, UCLA is an international school. And I just wonder, is this finally going to be the moment where LeVar Ball is a little bit humbled? You guys mentioned, for the last year, he has loved the camera. Somebody puts a microphone in front of his face. He's got something funny or witty to say. Is he finally going to dial it back and say, hey, maybe I screwed up somewhere. Maybe I made a mistake at some point because my kid's driving around a $200,000 Ferrari. Well, and he's stealing shades.
He just really hurt his own brand because, the Big Baller brand, if you don't have the money to spend $500-something on his shoes, then you're not a big baller. Yeah. Well, you're also not a big baller if you have to rip off the Louis Vuitton store.
The other thing is, money speaks. And about a year ago, UCLA signed a massive deal with Under Armour. And I was told a couple of months back that Under Armour was very reluctant with the Ball family in the circus. And Under Armour stock was struggling at the time. I don't keep up with it. But I believe they have been looking for an opportunity, this is it, to say, we're done with this circus. To your point, this is an international university who a year ago signed, it was like $1 billion contract with Under Armour. And I think this is a prime example. There was a Ric Flair 30 for 30 on last night. Mm-hmm. He was a wrestler and he lived a really big life. There's always a price to pay for that life. LeVar Ball has led this dynamic, wild, crazy, say anything, offend anybody life. This is the price to pay.
Go ahead.
I just want to add one thing. I want to spank us in the media a little bit. We have coddled and egged this guy on.
We've made him.
The entire time. And, shame on us, to be quite honest with you, because I think most rational people, if it was going to be something that was going to blow up, I think people could see it. Now, who could expect this? A kid with this kind of wealth, shoplifting in
the least
China.
Likely to be anything as a future pro.
But I always, again, my narrative always was this is a Hollywood family with child stars. This won't end well. There's been too many child stars.
At the same time, though, what LeVar did, he's not with his son. He went with the rest of UCLA, and this morning was at, I think, a team breakfast. They're in a different area of China because they're shooting their Facebook show.
It's mind-blowing.
So actually, this probably works out really well. They're also opening up their pop-up store for Big Baller brand, I think, tomorrow. So now he's got a lot of publicity.
Colin, you mentioned UCLA moving on. We know LaMelo's out of high school now. UCLA's not getting LaMelo Ball. It feels to me like this is the end of the Ball family in college. I don't think LaMelo will matriculate. I don't think LiAngelo's coming back to UCLA.
To the Oklahoma City Thunder, who just lost to the Kings, and the OK3 of Russell Westbrook, Paul George and Carmelo Anthony are now just 4-6 on the year. Maybe not unrelated, Melo's old team, the New York Knicks, are balling with Kristaps Porzingis leading the perennial laughingstock to a 6-4 start. Cowherd, do you blame Melo for the OK3's early season struggles?
I don't. Blame's the wrong word here. So I'll just use the word our producers put down. I blame Westbrook. I blame Westbrook. Now, hold on. I blame Westbrook, but what he's going through is really hard. LeBron goes to Miami. It took him 15 games to go, LeBron, it's your team. This is Westbrook's team. He's a more dynamic player than Melo, And frankly, they came to play with him. This is his city, his franchise, his team. But it's hard because all the noise, you're a ball hog, it'll never work, from loudmouths like me. And Russell's conscientious, he hears it, and he gets all these guys in, and he is now playing nice. Okay, wait, I'm gonna get you shots. Hey, Russell, this is your team.
So we can't win.
No, he can. It's not about winning. It's about figuring out a difficult
it is about winning games.
Well, no, winning games.
Right.
But this happened to LeBron. It happened to KG.
He's not
hard.
wrong though for sharing the ball. Carmelo, you got to watch these games.
I do.
Carmelo plays he thinks he's still in New York.
Well,
he thinks that Ponderosa.
Teach an old dog new tricks all of a sudden?
He's still playing ISO ball. Offense doesn't start till it touches his hand. He's been horrendous. All three of these guys are shooting, a poor percentage. They're all shooting about 17 times a game. But Carmelo has been bad, and we can't ignore the fact the Knicks are so much better without him.
Let me back up Cowherd for a second. Let me just back. When you've got a new bunch of guys, and you've got the richest contract in NBA history in Russell Westbrook, and it's your team, and you were the second best team in the clutch last year if you look at the final 5 minutes of regulation, and all of a sudden they're dead last now. That falls on the point guard's shoulders. Russell Westbrook has to step up. Whitlock, why are you upset?
No, but it's hard.
It's on Westbrook. It's his team.
Again, we've skipped from. Where's the coach in any of this?
Oh, Billy Donovan? Come on.
Well, by the way, that's hard. Spoelstra struggled with LeBron Wade. We were all going, how can LeBron
They
Wade
got beat by the Sacramento Kings last night, Colin.
Look, when they all came together, everyone already was critiquing them, saying, how are these guys with their huge egos, how are they possibly going to work out? It's going to be a failure. And now they're getting along, and their problem is that they're sharing the ball a little too much, and we're critiquing them for that. And my argument from the beginning was I actually think these are three guys who haven't been able to get it done and win a championship by themselves. So the only way for it to really work is if they kind of take back their egos a little bit, learn how to work with each other, which is what they're doing. I think this is a great thing that they're having this problem right now. It's not chemistry issues.
Kings.
It's not chemistry issues. Look at the Cavs.
They've
got chemistry issues, even if they're winning a little bit. But they're working together. The ego isn't getting in the way. And I think that's the better way to look at it, and that's something that can be improved.
Let me push back on that, Christine. So you guys both mentioned the Miami Heat when LeBron got there. That was the beginning of something. Chris Bosh, LeBron, Wade, they had years to figure it out. The clock's ticking on Paul George. He can be out of here in, 7 months, 8 months? I don't think they have that much time to figure it out.
So we're supposed to think that this part of the season really, really matters for OKC, but not for the Cavs?
You can't dig a hole in the West. We know how competitive it is. The Lakers are 500.
That is actually the one thing. It really doesn't matter for Cleveland. I mean, Milwaukee's going to make the playoffs. They have sleptwalked through 2 wins over Milwaukee. You can wake up in about 3 weeks in the West and be in 7 seed.
The Timberwolves are up there.
One team has LeBron and the other team doesn't. Right. So, again, Cleveland, to me, has no part of this discussion. They can wake up from a slumber. This OKC team, unless Carmelo commits to moving without the ball.
That's not going to happen.
And playing some semblance of defense.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's the guy you need to stick in the corner and say, make corner threes. That's what you are in your
You're asking me to stop talking. This is just not going to happen.
No.
Welcome back. Jason McIntyre. And now joined by Fox college football analyst Joel Klatt. Let's move to college football. Huge weekend. The new playoff rankings are out. Top 4, Georgia, Bama, Notre Dame, Clemson. That's unchanged. 2 teams left out in the cold. Number 5, Oklahoma, and number 6, TCU, face off this weekend in a game that could determine the postseason fate of both. Whitlock, you trust Baker Mayfield, the Sooner quarterback, to get Oklahoma into the playoff?
Look, I'm the idiot that last week said TCU is the most overvalued team in the country, and then their defense went out there and put a show on. Look, Oklahoma doesn't play much defense. TCU plays a lot of defense. Defense wins championships, so I think Oklahoma's going to have a problem here with TCU, and Baker Mayfield's going to have a problem.
Outside of Alabama, take them out, last 10 years. If you have a talented NFL quarterback who can win you games that you get outplayed, and over 13 games, again, take out Alabama, everybody gets outplayed. That's the advantage. How many USC games has Darnold pulled out this year when the Trojan? Yeah, and I think what Baker Mayfield has, he's an NFL quarterback. How good, we don't know.
Defense is for real.
I know.
They are good.
But they don't have, listen, this sport, when you have a Baker Mayfield, there's about 3 of them in college football every couple years. They could go this weekend and get outplayed, and he'll pull a rabbit out. So I think Oklahoma's got a real shot.
Yeah, I think he's one of the most exciting players that I've seen come around in quite some time. And the thing about it is he gets lumped into one of two categories pretty quickly, whether it's an NFL evaluator saying, oh, he's Russell Wilson, or a college football fan saying, oh, he kind of reminds me of Johnny Manziel. He's a little bit of both. And the reason I say that is because Baker is as good as anybody, going back to maybe Vince Young, when the play breaks down. When he's outside of the structure of the offense, he's almost more dangerous, which is a trait that Vince Young had back in 2005. He's got immense arm talent. I think he's going to be a pro for a long time. I really do. And I think he is the most dangerous player in college football. Because of that, I think it's going to be tough for TCU to stop him. If you look at what TCU has done, their dominant performances have been against teams that struggle offensively. When they've gone against Oklahoma State or West Virginia, they have given up a little bit of yards. They've given up some points. So this week, I think Saturday could be an epic showdown, strength against strength.
And offensively, they struggle. Would they score one touchdown against Iowa State in that loss? Yeah, so TCU, I was on them last weekend, but I'll definitely like Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield, loved the Russell Wilson comparison. I wrote about that on The Big Lead earlier this season. I believe he's a pro. They've got the easiest schedule, 2 home games and then probably the playoff game against TCU again in the Big 12. I like their chances to get to the playoff.
You know, it should be noted that just this is down the road. But if you look at a lot of these Kirby Smart, Saban, what they struggle with is Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
They really do.
You're right.
I couldn't tell you the last time Alabama lost to a pocket quarterback. That's why I don't like Georgia against Bama. I got to tell you, if you ask Nick Saban, he wants no part of Baker Mayfield. That's what beats him.
I don't know if Oklahoma gets to that point, but you're exactly right. The team that is most suited, best suited to beat Alabama or Georgia is Oklahoma because of Baker. No one else really matches up well because when you get in a phone booth with one of those two teams, ask Notre Dame, it's very difficult to succeed. And for that reason, those two individuals, Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, they're praying that they don't have to see Baker Mayfield later in the year.
Dabo Swinney's head just exploded.
Kelly Bryant. Let's not sell Kelly Bryant short.
Dabo,
I mean, let's bring facts to the table now. Clemson's defense is nowhere near what they were to begin the years. And on September 23rd, they were 3rd in the nation in scoring defense. Since that point, they're 24th in scoring defense, giving up 20 points a game. So Clemson's not nearly what they were to begin the year.
All right, to Columbus, where the Buckeyes will try to rebound against Michigan State this week after getting blown out by Iowa just last Saturday. That game was Ohio State's 2nd blowout loss of the season and likely doomed their playoff hopes, prompting some serious questions for Urban Meyer this week.
You know better than anybody how high the expectations are here. So after a loss like Saturday, people are asking, wondering, what's going on, what's wrong, where's the program headed? I know when you came...
Where's the program headed?
Yeah. Is there a problem with the program?
We're playing Michigan State this week, and we've got to really practice well and fix the turnover issue on offense and play a little better on defense. Kicking was much better.
Cowherd, Urban Meyer, season 6 in Ohio State, season 6 in Florida. He left. 2 years at Bowling Green, 2 years at Utah. Urban Meyer, a little burnout?
From those reporters.
From those questions?
Oh, my God. I will say Belichick's his best friend. Belichick, a couple years from retirement. I've always wondered, when I talk to NFL people, they always say Urban could be an NFL coach. He doesn't want to go through, they really do. I don't think Urban is, but there is part of me that thinks when I see Urban get burned out.
Oh, so you do think he's getting burned out?
Well, I think it's hard to coach at Ohio State and Michigan and Bama and LSU. It robs you of your life. Saban's got a factory going because he got about 400 coaches.
I was going to say, if we asked the question, is Saban burned out, every time he had a crabby answer on a Tuesday press conference, it would be like every single week of his career.
Hold it, Joel. It wasn't about a crabby answer. It was about getting blown out twice. When Nick Saban gets blown out twice, we'll ask the question.
With all due respect, Oklahoma did not blow Ohio State out. They had a couple of late touchdowns. That was a Ohio State lead with 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. You know, I mean, that's a ball game late. That's not necessarily a blowout. Listen, this is a team that lost to Oklahoma. They go to Iowa, which is a tough place to play, and played their worst game that they've ever played for Urban Meyer. I think this is Urban Meyer's last stop. I think that he wants desperately to win another championship. He thinks that this is where his legacy is going to be set in stone. It's not necessarily what he did at Florida. I don't think he wants to go to Notre Dame now. This is where he wants to be to set his legacy for the rest of his. I don't think he wants to go to the NFL. Well, I think he's in a perfect spot, guys. Urban is a grinder. He is a grinder, and that's what you saw in that press conference, and I think he's going to get them back to where they're competing.
Cowherd makes an interesting point that he left Florida when it was challenging. You know, I looked deeper. The SEC was in the midst of 7 straight titles, 8 and 10 years. As the conference got harder, Urban Meyer, man, I'm tired. I'm out of here. You know what's happening in the Big Ten right now, Joel, right?
That's actually my point.
The Big Ten, all of a sudden, Michigan State's
it's good.
loaded.
Well, hold on.
Oh, Joel, let me finish. Penn State is loaded. Wisconsin's undefeated. Northwestern and Purdue, no longer doormats. They're on the rise. Is the Big Ten getting so challenging that Urban, kind of struggling, is going to say, you know what? It's time maybe I move on somewhere else. I'm not bashing him. He's a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, but
Joel, I know you're
saying
upset.
That he's basically running from a challenge.
Well, again, it's been 6 years.
If this is struggle, sign me up for what they're. I mean, Ohio State is the standard. I would make the argument, to your point, about, when the going gets tough. He's the one that made the going get tough.
Certainly.
He's the one that built the SEC into what it is now. That's why they had to chase all those coaches, is to compete with Urban Meyer. Same now in the Big Ten. Why are they paying all their coaches all this money? Because of Urban Meyer. They're having to chase him because he is one of the greatest in college football.
Let me go a different route. Let me go a different route then, because it's not about him getting chased out. He's not afraid of competition and probably loves competition.
Yeah.
But maybe there are certain coaches whose voice at a program loses its value a little bit after X number of years, and that Urban Meyer is a guy that's better suited to move every 4, 5, 6 years. Yeah.
I think you have to take under consideration the fact that college football is so much quicker in its cycle than the NFL. So you can bring up Bill Parcells, but it's not necessarily the same case because your players turn over much more frequently than they do in the National Football League. And a place like Ohio State, it's 3 and 4 years. They're cycling in and out. That's why a guy like Saban can stay for a long time. That's why guys that are hard grinders can stay for a long time in college football. I think this is his last stop. I think he's a great coach. Listen, they're not struggling. They had one really bad game. They are not struggling.
They've been kind of thrown around 3 times in 10 games.
Throw some games.
They got blanked in the playoff.
We gotta go. I love your suit today, Joe.